Good morning. Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the committee. Thank you very much for the opportunity to present to you my first housing bill, which I'm excited about. This is AB 12.
Welcome to the committee.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. AB 1287 is the bill we're having for you here today. I want to start by acknowledging the work of the committee consultants and accepting amendments that are in the analysis. The amendments are Amendment number 1 and Amendment number 3, which create a new very low income incentive table and revises the concessions and incentives provisions in the bill. Colleagues, as you know, we are in the midst of a housing crisis. I don't think I need to go over the numbers. Millions of homes short of what we need to build by 2025. 49th in housing units per capita in California compared to the country. The report from McKinsey also argues that our housing shortage causes an annual economic loss of $40 billion per year. So in the last couple of years, I have been seeing from afar down in San Diego the work that's been happening, especially through this committee on the housing front, and appreciate all that work. And we've taken some steps to try to increase supply for very low and low-income housing. This legislation tackles a new segment of the population, and it's the middle-income families. This is an holistic approach to the housing crisis that requires that we tackle housing for everyone, including middle-income earners. The UC Berkeley Turner Center for Housing Innovation found that 40% of middle-income renters spend more than 30% of their income on housing. And 10% of these middle-income earners are severely cost-burdened by housing costs, meaning that more than half of their monthly income is spent just on housing alone. The cost burden has continued to grow as we have failed to build enough housing in the middle income range to reduce prices and release pressure on the housing market. By giving developers an additional incentive under the density bonus law to build more moderate income or middle income housing, AB 1287 is a critical step towards resolving part of our housing crisis. Specifically, AB 1287 requires that a city, a county, grant additional density and concessions if the applicant agrees to include additional moderate income housing on top of the low income housing that they would build for low and very low income levels. I firmly believe that supporting the development of very low and low income housing is important, which is why this bill says that the existing incentives must be maxed out before this incentive could kick in. I look forward to continuing to work with everyone concerned to ensure that this bill is the best form and does not lessen existing incentives that address our very low and low income housing shortage. And as stated, one of the amendments today increases incentives for very low income in addition to creating new incentives for middle income. So with that being said, I'd like to introduce our witnesses to speak on behalf of this issue. Executive Director, General Counsel at Circulate San Diego, Colin Parent, followed by Rami Cortez from Rami Urban Infill.
Great. Thank you very much, Assemblymember. Good morning. My name is Colin Parent. I am the CEO and General Counsel with local nonprofit Circulate San Diego. I'm also the Vice Mayor of the City of La Mesa, which happens to be located in the 79th Assembly District. The Circulate San Diego is an organization. We are one of the co-sponsors of this bill. We also co-sponsored AB 2345 a few years ago, one of the last large enhancements to the density bonus law. So it's something that we're familiar with and been big advocates for. About last year, we published a report called Home Run for Homes that documented that the policy in AB 2345 was being very well utilized in the city of San Diego, accounting for nearly half of all of the units entitled in city of San Diego that year. So that state policy is really working great. And so this AB 1287 is designed to build on that to make sure that the policies that are working in density bonus law are extended and continue to work. One of the key parts of this bill that Assemblymember Alvarez talked about that we want to just highlight for folks is that you can only use these new incentives if you max out the existing incentives to build the deeply affordable units currently in density bonus law. Some prior efforts to expand density bonus didn't take those things into account and got them into some trouble, but this one is being very careful to make sure that the existing incentives are maintained before new incentives can be utilized. And what that means is that we're going to create not only opportunities to create new moderate income homes, but also create further incentives to create more deeply affordable homes, and that's really important. Second, of course, is that this is going to be driving production of new of housing at a middle income level, which is definitely not being produced through anything in California. It's a big challenge. And then finally, as a local elected official, I'll just share with you, as many of the former locals here know, like getting these kinds of policies done on a local level is near impossible. It's very challenging to get the votes to do those things. The pushback is really hard. But the folks who are sitting here in this position have a different opportunity, a different perspective, and a different set of political considerations. And so we're never going to be able to do everything that the locals need to do without your help. So we would certainly urge your I vote so that we can do these things in our communities as well. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Rami Cortez, and I'm an urban infill developer and builder of transit-oriented housing in San Diego. Often friends and colleagues ask me what that's like every day, and I tell them it's like pushing a boulder up a mountain, if you can imagine. We find ourselves not only in a housing crisis, but a humanitarian crisis, as the number of our unhoused neighbors experiencing homelessness continues to rise due to our inability to build housing supply at all income levels. I'm here supporting Assembly Bill 1287, the Middle Income Bonus Program, because it will help build much needed housing across our state. Without density bonus incentive-based programs, none of my projects would be financially feasible. That doesn't mean a smaller project, it means no project, 0 homes. 90% of housing in our state is built by private developers without government subsidy, while only 10% of housing is through government financial subsidy. This is why incentive-based programs are so important. The current Affordable Housing Density Bonus Program incentivizes very low income housing, but not middle income. Even within the city of San Diego, who has made strides in housing policy and production, in our 5th RHNA cycle ending in 2020, there were only 37 moderate homes deed restricted out of the 15,462 targeted. This is less than 1/4% of the RHNA goal. I was born and raised in San Diego, just miles from the US border, and my mom's actually a first-generation immigrant from Mexico, but I'm a lucky one to be able to afford a home and live near my parents. Due to the cost of housing, many of my friends have moved out of state and away from their families and loved ones. This isn't just true for my friends. The number one challenge for recruiting and retaining police officers, teachers, firefighters, and other essential middle-income workers is they can't afford to live where they work in California. This bill would support middle-income housing and projects I build where we need it most, along transit corridors and job centers.
Great, thank you. Additional folks in the room want to register support?
Madam Chair, Bob Naylor, representing Fieldstead and Company. That's Howard Amundsen Jr., who is an Orange County philanthropist, strongly supporting this bill.
Holly Ferbini de Jesus with Lighthouse Public Affairs on behalf of Sand Hill Properties and the San Diego Housing Commission in support.
Michael Lane with Spur, co-sponsor and strong support.
Alex Torres with the Bay Area Council, proud co-sponsor and support. Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, Jordan Perana Carvajal on behalf of California YIMBY in support. Thank you.
Good morning. Cornelius Burke with the California Building Industry Association in support of this bill.
Great, and any primary witnesses in opposition? Any additional folks in the room want to register opposition? Okay, we'll bring it back to the committee. Mr. Ward.
I want to thank the author for congratulations on the first bill. And I think as we had our experiences together on San Diego City Council, we've tried to do a lot of aggressive, set a really good aggressive example about how housing policy can be effective, how it actually will produce both market rate and affordable units at all levels of the spectrums on the affordability scales that we want to be able to see. And this was a great local test that I'm glad that we're able to expand as well and bring up here for statewide impact. So thank you for running the bill. Happy to support it. Would love to be added as a co-author if the time allows for it. And appreciate your consideration of the technical amendments too. Thank you for the support here today.
Any other comments? And do we have a motion? Ms. Quirk Silva is going to move the bill. A second? Mr. Ward, would you like to close, Mr. Alvarez?
Just briefly, I thank you again for the opportunity. One of the things that I hear the most from constituents is primarily from parents is, where are my children going to live in California? And this is about people of all income levels, especially, as mentioned, working professionals who have middle income, middle class families. This is a bill which will hopefully, and we think will, create opportunities for people in that income range, and I appreciate your support and your high vote.
Great, thank you, Mr. Alvarez, and appreciate you taking the committee amendments and working with the committee staff. And with that, I'm happy to support the bill. And the motion is do pass as amended to the Assembly Committee on Natural Resources.
Thank you.
Weeks.
Aye.
Weeks, aye. Patterson. Carrillo. Gabriel. Calra. Calra, aye. Quirk Silva. Quirk Silva, aye. Sanchez. Sanchez, aye. Ward. Aye. Ward, aye.
We have 5 votes. It's out, but we'll let members add on.
Thank you.
Thank you.